Welcome, Colin here. Welcome to the American Board of Hypnotherapy and talking about our upcoming conference. We're so excited to have you on board as a speaker this year.
Hey, it's great to be here, and it's going to be a good session.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's kick away and let our audience know a little bit more about you. You've spent 2 decades helping experts and coaches grow their businesses. What did you discover about why talented practitioners struggle to attract clients while others become recognized leaders?
Hmm. Well, for me, early on, I haven't always worked with coaches and therapists and trainers. I started out as just a coach, like, well, not just a coach, but a coach. I started out as a life coach and really enjoyed that process, and then quickly got into speaking. And for me, speaking was the thing that dramatically accelerated my business, whether it was speaking for free or speaking at conferences. Then I became a paid speaker, I started traveling to speak. And I just found every time I spoke, whether it was on my own stage that I created or got asked to speak at an event, my business always grew. And so that then it was probably 6 years ago that I had a lot of people in our industry start to ask, "Hey, Colin, I like your content that you're delivering, but I'd love to know more about the speaking side of things." And so that's when I started to teach speaking. And so for me, the common thread has been the more people speak, the more people become leaders in their industry. And for me, the goal is to, if you can find a niche, find some narrow angle in your messaging, and then speak more on that topic, the speaking creates the leadership. And so, I mean, you look across the industry, all the market leaders, they're running their own events, they're running their own online events, they're running their own summits. And so for me, yeah, the more you speak, the more you lead the industry. And it's not, sometimes people think, oh, I need to wait to get good before I start speaking, or to get known or have authority before I become a speaker. And I think you just decide it. You can't, I always say unite yourself. So you just kind of unite yourself as a speaker, and you decide it and step out, and then the magic happens.
Yeah, I love what you said there, that a lot of us wait until, we feel like we're ready and we have enough knowledge and we've got enough confidence. Sometimes it's just taking that first step, isn't it? So for those who are out there who are, interested in doing this and they're feeling a little bit nervous or reluctant, what do you think are some good places to start?
Well, I mean, obviously, in this technology age, doing a Zoom session is one of the simplest ways to start, and it doesn't have to be super fancy. In fact, one of my clients, she works in the wine industry, so she works specifically with people who manufacture wines, and she's a coach in the wine industry. And so she just started hosting like just meetups like this, and then she taught some things, and then went to book a call, and started landing clients, like bunches of clients from each presentation she was giving. And so it was nothing fancy. And she'll even say to me, like, she's like, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing when I'm doing the presentations and even doing the sales calls, but it's working. And so I think one of the easiest places to start is just to host your own Zoom session. I mean, that's a great place to start. Another thing is to speak for free at a conference. And so there are, even for the American Board of Hypnotherapy, right? You guys are an organization. There are, accreditation organizations and conferences in specific topics. I know for me, when I was getting started, I would put my name forward to speak at conference, like local conferences that was when I was living in Australia. And I would speak about 4 or 5 conferences a year, and that would generate hundreds of thousands of dollars of work, because I just chose a specific industry. I spoke, and even just a breakout room. It doesn't have to be the main keynote. I just spoke as a keynote, and if I got a couple of those conferences a year, my whole business just ran really well.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. And we love highlighting our speakers too through the conference and through the webinars that we run each year. And I also love giving our new practitioners or trainers the opportunity to, stand on that international stage in a webinar as well to be able to grow their confidence in
Yeah,
presenting. It's amazing.
definitely.
So, what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes though that people make when they go out there, they're speaking or presenting? That, perhaps they get a round of applause, perhaps, like it all seems to have gone well, but it doesn't actually convert to people taking action and people following them.
Yeah, well, I'm going to dive deep into this in the session that we present
Mhm.
at the
Awesome.
conference. It's what I call infusion selling. And so what tends to happen is for most people, what they'll do, they'll overteach. So they'll go into their bag of tricks and they'll pull out, like their best stuff and they'll teach it and they'll do it. They'll move through the whole process. They'll get the audience to experience it. They'll give the audience a whole bunch of things to do. And so at the end, the audience is like overloaded with tons of things to do. And then when you do make an offer or next step, the audience says, you know what, like this has been really good, but I'm a bit overwhelmed. I've got too many things to do already. How about I come and, I'll check in with your program or the next step, maybe 6 months from now after I've got everything done here. And so the problem with that is that, firstly, they never do it anyway. The people who say, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something with it, but they actually don't do anything with it. And secondly, it ends up, there's a bunch of people who you could help who end up not saying yes. So I think the mistake is over teaching. So just putting way too much content, kind of drinking from the fire hose. And it's one of the experts' dilemma is because we don't realize how much we know and how much experience we've had. And if you've worked with clients, I know for me, I've probably done over 4,000 one-on-one coaching sessions in my like paid one-on-one coaching sessions. And I don't do much one-on-one now. I have a handful of clients occasionally. But for me, like the experience that you have is so much bigger than you realize. And so when you start downloading information, you can overwhelm the audience really quickly. And so yeah, the mistake is usually all teaching and then selling. And so what you want to do is you want to bring it together, which is what I call infusion selling. And so that is when you're speaking and adding value, but you're also teaching them what to want. You're
Mm,
teaching them what the next step is at the same time. So this magic thing happens, which is where the audience unconsciously starts to want to work with you
mhm,
faster than you're even making an offer. And so by the end, when you do make a next step, and it doesn't have to be a paid program, it could be just a next step to download or book a call. The audience is chomping at the bit to say that they are ready to take that next step before you even are making the offer.
mm. Yeah. And that's where you want them to be. No, that's
Yeah.
good. So, talk to me about, storytelling metaphors. Is this something that you think is truly valuable in speaking on stage and live speaking events?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a concept that we're going to go deep into on the session called conversion stories. And conversion stories is this concept that I came up with several years ago. And essentially, I was looking at across the board all the different leaders and speakers out there. And I noticed that the ones who used what I now call a conversion story, uh, when they spoke their story, it wasn't just about them. It was a story that naturally made the audience want to work with them because the audience truly saw themselves in their story. And so the goal of a great story is to have the audience hear your story but feel theirs. And there's a way that you can tell stories where it's not just a story to reinforce your point, but it's a story where the audience puts themselves in the driver's seat of your story. And so for me, I mean, stories are so powerful. Whether there's usually two types of stories. There's your stories, and then there's case stories. So of your clients and so forth. I was just literally this morning working with a client, and he's running some really big like webinars and presentations, making a lot of money. And we really dive deep into like case studies and stories of clients and the results that they've got. Because when you do that well, once again, the audience puts themselves in the shoes of the case study, and then they start to go, oh, I wonder if that will work for me. And so what I love about stories is it moves past the conscious mind and goes into the unconscious, which is very NLP work, right? Story and metaphor. I know for me, when I was studying and becoming accredited as an NLP practitioner, the use of metaphor and story was so powerful. And so the short answer is, like, yes, 100%. Having the right, but you got to have the right stories because people tell their personal story and the audience will listen and go, oh, that's nice, and might have a little bit of credibility. But other than that, it doesn't really make the impact that they're looking for. And so you got to learn to tell conversion stories.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because yeah, a lot of us do go out there and start with our personal story because it's what we know, it's what we feel
Yeah.
in emotion, it's often what drives us to do what we do. Yeah, no, that's a great strategy, and I can see how that can build, that trust and authority with the audience. Now, I'm assuming in your session you're going to talk to us a bit more about that, like how the things
Oh
that
yeah.
you are talking about are going to help us build that trust and authority that's really important with the audience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's three core elements to a conversion story. So I'll go through each of them. We'll
Hmm.
dive deep in them, how to do them. It'll be really powerful.
Yeah, awesome. Totally looking forward to that. So, what advice would you give to someone who knows they've got a powerful message, okay, but they struggle with selling in general? So this is not just stage selling, but being able to do the sales.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To do the sales, I love it. I love it. So, I mean, for me, this has been a journey as well of learning to feel comfortable selling. And I will say that you really have to change your perspective of what selling is, because a lot of the times people have got, experiences in their past. They've had challenges in their past with it. They just kind of feel like I'm just taking money off people, and and then you'll feel bad for that. You feel like guilty, or you feel bad asking for money, and so we need to revise how we see selling. And so for me, the perspective I take first of all is that selling is part of your serving, from the sense of when you make an offer, and an offer is just simply an invitation. And so rather than seeing as selling as something you do to someone, see it as an invitation you're inviting for someone to enter into. And so, for example, we have programs and courses and masterminds. And so I'm creating a space for the right person, if they resonate with me and they want to get a result that I can help them with, I'll invite them to enter that space. But to enter that space, there needs to be a greater level of commitment inside that circle than what's outside. Because without commitment, you're not going to get a result. And so commitment is like a wall that sits around the offer. And so the higher the wall, the greater the commitment. So for example, you could have a $27 course. So the level of commitment is going to be pretty low, but you could have a $25,000 mastermind and the level of commitment is going to be significantly higher. So the higher the price, usually the more commitment someone brings to the program. Now, obviously your expertise and what you do needs to meet with that value. But when it comes down to it, selling is just inviting people into a place of transformation to reach a goal that they already want. And so I don't think we need to worry about convincing people to do something that they don't want to do.
Mm.
I think that's like, I'm not good at that.
Yep.
Right? Like, and I think I'm quite good at sales now, but I still am not good at that.
Mm.
And you end up having the wrong people in the program. For me, it's more about helping people to identify if they really want that goal. And if they already want it, then making an offer, an invitation for them to enter the space to achieve the goal with you, which results in faster achievement. It's usually a lot cheaper
Mm.
and more enjoyable. They don't get to do it alone. So yeah, so I think selling is not about trying to get someone to do something they don't want to do. It's just revealing the needs and desires they already have, and making an invitation for them to see that transformation with you as opposed to without.
Yeah, absolutely. So the, being able to you really internalize, I guess, what it means to you to be
Mhm.
able to like go out there and put your services into the world. So yeah, you might have this motivation, but yeah, who do you want to attract, right? And making sure they're the only people that you really allow into your program. Because as you mentioned before, if you get you've pushed maybe a little bit harder. You've made a sale. Yes, you've got them in, but are they really going to enjoy that? Are they really going to thrive? Are they really going to get the most out of that program? Because it's not exactly who you designed it for, right? So,
Mm.
yeah, I
Yeah, the
think.
better the fit, the better the
Mm,
fit, the better it is. And
mm,
I will say that there are people that I'll speak with, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I had a terrible experience with this program. I had and it's like what the person said it was and what it was very different." And so I
mm,
think I've been doing this for 18 years. We've got almost 20,000 clients,
mhm,
and And the reason I think that we've created such longevity is I deliver on what I say. And so it's like the closer you can get that integrity of like what the outcome is and what the experience is, the better, and your reputation grows. And then that just continues to, result in good results for you and your business. So yeah, it's rather than seeing selling as trying to push someone to do something, it's not that. It's just finding out, are they a good fit for it? And if they are, making an invitation. And I think about it like this, if I look back over the experiences of my life, there's been programs that I've joined, there's been books that I've read, there's been conferences that I've gone to that they truly changed the trajectory of my life. Like I would not be doing what I'm doing without those experiences. And so I look back and I think if those people didn't make that offer or sell that book or offer the conference, I would have missed out on incredible friendship, business opportunity, personal growth. I wouldn't be who I am. And the kicker is that you are that person for your audience. In other words, if you don't make an offer, you basically ripping other people off of an experience that they could have with you through your processes. And so that's how I see selling.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to us about, I know you have some signature programs kind of selling from stage in this area. So what are the key objectives that you want people to walk away with from those courses?
Yeah, so we have essentially there's kind of one path. So we teach speaking and selling from stage. And so whether that's a virtual stage like a webinar or online event or an in-person stage, because I feel like speaking is just that leverage mechanism. And we have like mini courses. So kind of the business model that we run is we have a mini course. It's called Conversion Story Formula. It's under $50. I always say it's the price of a few California tacos. And I mean, I think we've had 13,000 people join that in the last 3 years. And so that's like a mini course. And then we have Sell from Stage Academy, which is our main core curriculum. And that helps people build a whole presentation, right, to sell, whether it's a webinar or a speaking opportunity. And then we have like an implementation program, which is called our elite program. And so that's for people who want coaching directly with me and a group and implementation. We do in-person events and virtual events, and it's like a whole implementation experience. And then we have a really high level program for people who are already very well established in their expert business and they want to move into just true market leadership. And so I have a smaller group called Platinum. And so that's kind of the model that we have in terms of how we run the business. And the outcomes are, I would say at the base level, it's build a story that when you tell it, you get clients naturally. The second level is build a simple sales presentation that every time you speak, you get clients. All right. And then the top level is become a market leader. So they're kind of the outcomes that we have.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I like how they can grow on that journey. So as they get
Mm.
practice in and they're doing more speaking events and they really want to make a go of this and get to that leadership level, as you said, that market leadership for themselves, then that's amazing. You support them through that whole process. So look, Colin, I'm really excited about your session. I'm excited to be there at conference and I'm hoping that everybody watching is. So if you haven't registered for conference yet, then the time to do that is now, remembering that it's free for our members this year. So make sure you go ahead and you book your ticket. And we look forward to seeing you there, Colin.
Thanks, Tara. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone else as well. It'll be well worth it. Get yourself registered, show up to the session. It's going to be good.